Hey rock stars and happy Talkitout Thursday. I hope you really enjoyed the rock star of the week last week, the fabulous, amazing Miss Heartland, Caitlin Lewis. And please, please, please support her and her journey in this organization and just how she is spreading her awareness and doing service in the community and really just trying to make the world a better place. So please follow her and thank you all so much for the wonderful support of the rock star of the week. This week, I want to talk about the point of my program, the talk point, and why it's so important to talk about issues and talk about suicide. Talk about it. I know that KHQA in the Hannibal Quincy tri-state area, they are doing a series called Shattering the Silence, where they are speaking to families and they are speaking about suicide and getting the awareness out there. And I know last night I read this amazing this person on Facebook just kind of wrote out her response to it and just her emotions and her feelings and her view on it and how it has affected her, how suicide has affected her. And it just, I teared up a little. Of course, it kind of triggered me in remembering, my journey since Daddy has died. And B, it's we have to start talking. We have to talk about our emotions and our feelings and our grief and the messed up emotions and feelings and everything we feel, especially when we do lose someone to suicide. And it's so confusing, and you have good days and you have bad days and you have better days and you have worse days and you have days where you don't feel anything, and it's just, we have to talk about it. And this week in my groups, this week at work, a lot of the kiddos, one of the kiddos opened up about a trauma that happened to her. And then 2 or 3 other kids in the group started talking about similar situations. And it opened up this conversation about trauma and about how it can trigger us today and about how we're not alone. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see and witness and be there to just kind of guide it and support it, because, as a counselor, it gave me insight into going, okay, that makes sense. That's a piece of the puzzle that I didn't hear before. And now you feel safe enough to actually talk about it. And we have to talk about our issues, and we have to talk about our traumas, and we have to talk about our emotions in order to process through it. We are human beings. We can't just bottle it up inside of us. And so I think just this whole week, it has just been this topic of talk it out. Talk about your emotions. It's scary. And we are vulnerable, and we have to step outside that comfort zone of just wanting to not think about it. And yes, there's definitely a time not to think about it and trying to distract ourselves, but there is a time where we need to talk about our own emotions in order to process through them. And to take it a step further, we have to start talking about suicide. We have to start talking about suicide and shattering that silence and saying, hey, there are better options, and yes, you are struggling, but put that semicolon up. This is a temporary problem. You can get through it. And the first step, y'all, is awareness, is speaking out about it and talking about it. So don't be afraid. I know it's a very scary topic, and it's a very intense, and it's very emotional topic, this topic of suicide. But if we do not start talking about it, the epidemic is just going to grow. Right now, suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death in youth in every single country in the world. It's a problem. And not just the youth. I believe it's the 5th cause of death in all ages. Fifth. So let's start talking about it. Let's start sharing our thoughts. Let's start sharing resources. Let's start understanding how we, as rock stars, can A, help ourselves process their emotions, but B, be there for other people and not be afraid to say, hey, you're suicidal? I can help you. Come here. I could be the link. And again, we don't have to fix them. We can help them. We can support them. So this week, y'all, I challenge you all, just talk. Talk, talk, talk. Who do you talk to? What do you need to talk about? But more importantly this week, let's talk about suicide. I'm going to post resources every day. I encourage you all to like on Facebook the National Association of Suicidology, the Suicide Prevention Hotline. I will post a lot of these links of Facebook pages for suicide awareness and suicide prevention. And hey, if these kiddos are on Facebook, let's let them know there are pages and encouragement on Facebook. If they're on Instagram, let's start posting, the hotline numbers on Instagram. So if they're on it, they at least can see it. And let's start talking about it and not being afraid to. I know it's sensitive and I know it's vulnerable and I know that it's hard, but we can do it. We're rock stars. So this week, let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about suicide and not be afraid to. I love you, rock stars. Rock on.